The one thing that I do like now is with the ads, you get a very tiny but also silent version of the stream in the corner. Can you get Illyception? We can get Illyception with some. Yeah, you can. Actually, it's my laptop, but. Oh no! Really? Really? The fuck? Oh, honey. Yep, it's just a bit of Illyception, sure is. So I have a reason for doing this. Censored is censored. I mean, yeah, no, true story. I am moving things.
Everything is censored.
This should work. Now you.
Nope.
Huh.
I'm fine where I am.
Yes, dear. Then why did I just sit here and fuck with the... Oh, no. Okay, well then fine. Whatever. You guys will just get the full Illy version with my fan that I need desperately.
Yeah, that's...
Dee's getting after you.
That's Illy's only fan. Hey, with Brick asleep, someone has to make puns.
Nice shirt sleeve. Now you get his hair. There we go. Yeah, well, and in our living situation, I can't have a window unit, sadly. So you're just making me... Aww, poor Dee.
Sorry.
Okay. Run P is up. How long have we been waiting? How long have I been waiting for this particular moment?
I don't know.
When did we sit down and decide that this was a thing that needed to happen?
I don't know.
Doki Doki, Amor Fati, Changing Fates. Little brother, I love you. Doki Doki, Amor Fati, Changing Fates was the spiritual successor to the OG. But that is where the similarities between the two of them end. Whereas Amor Fati was a very linear situation, you had one choice at the end that either fucked you or didn't. It either fucked you or gave you closure. Changing Fates was a multi-route mod with 5 routes. All 4 girls and MC. When the mod was cancelled, the plot for Sayori, most of Natsuki, and almost the entirety of MC's route had already been scripted or at least plotted. Are you? It's all up from here, sweetie. So if you're done, you're done. I get it. Zero stress. This part is literally just for the AF fans. Got you. Go to bed. Go sleep. Go sleep or I will put you to sleep. Sayori's route especially. Yeah, me too. Love you too. Sayori's route especially had been fully scripted and had begun coding. Thank you. We had an exemplary, and I mean exemplary, artist working on our CGs, and that would be Batebri. So, the plan for this part of the stream, we will be, I don't know if we'll be alternating or I will be going through the plot and he will jump in periodically. I don't know how we're going to do this, but the bottom line is we're going to cover the intended plan for each route's plot. Did we finish Yuri? Yuri is the only one that we really struggled with. We had the bare bones for her, but the script hadn't been written, and it was very bare bones.
5 pages were written.
5 pages, yeah. Whereas with the rest of them, like Sayori, but we'll go through each route, the plot. At various places throughout the plot, we have 1 CG for Natsuki, and then several. -1, which is unfortunate because it wasn't finished. But we have several for Sayori. It's over, SJ. It's done. The mod unfortunately had to be cancelled for reasons. I appreciate the sentiment. Okay. Doki Doki, more Fati, Changing Fates. This was our menu screen. It bears mentioning that this was very bare bones. And I really mean so bare bones. But this is what you came into. Now, well, we'll circle back around. So, would you like to start, as soon as I pull this music down, would you like to start with the route that was the most complete first? I gotta kill that, because actually now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I'm gonna get hit for copyright, because that is a song that exists.
Yes, it is. That song is a piano cover of Jesus, Joy of Man's Desiring by Bach.
Maybe? I think
it might be Bach. But it's just a...
You don't mind going from least complete to most complete? It's because you're a Urian, isn't it?
I only specifically chose that song because, from what I understand, Jesus, Joy of Man's Desiring is a song about accepting Jesus in the afterlife. And it only kind of resonated with me because Morphology is about embracing fate. Let's embrace chaos.
Shut up. You had this as an emoji in the server, and you named it Embrace Fate.
If we could also circle back to the menu screen.
Yes. I did have to kill the music because
I did specifically design this logo. What I was going for was...
He went through several revisions, and I mean several. Good night, Slayer. Glad you could pop in. Check out the VOD. It'll be there. I'll probably make this part a highlight, actually.
I did base this logo off a Chinese pentagram, where, from what I understand, the Chinese pentagram depicts the 5 elements of the world. I'm not going to try to name them all because I'm partially buzzed. But suffice to say that the Chinese pentagram depicts the elements of the world either building on one another or destroying one another. But all of the elements are interconnected. I went with this because the stories of the routes of Changing Fates were interconnected. So, to give you an example, in one scene you'll see the scene from Yuri's perspective, and then in another story you'll see this same scene from Natsuki's perspective.
This happened because in each route there was crossover. Now don't worry, we weren't going to double up in a way that it felt repetitive. It was only going to be very specific moments.
We were only going to have moments of
like big stuff.
interconnectivity, where rereading the same scene, but with a
It's an
different,
entirely different experience.
because you get to read it from a different context.
Sayori especially.
To
And
give you an example, I had written one scene where Natsuki and Yuri were going to have a candid discussion.
oh yeah.
They were both talking about their feelings for MC. I guess just also go into detail and say that in this story, Yuri and MC were childhood friends.
Yeah, not Sayori and MC.
So for Yuri, in Yuri's story, her father had recently passed away, and she's trying to fill the void with MC. So she sees MC as a way to fill that void for her.
It's a way to explain the yandere tendencies without her actually being a yandere.
Yeah.
Because of course, Amor Fati, Yuri, she's a little different than your standard variation, because she became a practicing Stoic. So each route is canon to the mod as a whole. It's not like you exactly, yeah, they were all like there's overlap. And Sayori's route especially was one where you got for one day in particular, you got two polar opposite experiences if you went through it in MC's route versus her route. Polar difference, and we'll do that. But let's start with Yuri. So Yuri's route. Go ahead.
But I just want to say also, for those in chat, I would like to ask, have any of you heard of the movie Babel?
Libitina might have, because Libitina knows many things.
I only specifically mention Babel because from what I remember of the movie, it depicts a single event that happens in Morocco, but the I guess effects or the aftermath of that event stretches out throughout the entire world. So anyways, you want to start with Yuri's route?
We can start with Yuri. So Yuri's story, we start essentially at the club at the festival. This is where kind of everything. Go ahead.
We actually start before the club.
Oh, that's true, because childhood friends.
No.
Let's try to be concise, because
I've
been at this
I'm
for
saying it for continuity's sake.
fair enough.
Yuri's story starts right after her father's funeral. Obviously, in this story, one, Yuri is MC's childhood friend, but also Yuri is a daddy's girl.
Very much so.
So, she goes through the grieving process. Then, I guess, time skip.
We hadn't figured out how to resolve time skips, but there's a lot of them, so hang tight.
So then we skip to, I guess, the typical Tuesday of the first day of the festival, where, childhood friend walks up to MC and is like, hey, would you like to join my club?
A week before.
And then, I guess, base DDLC happens, but with Yuri as your childhood friend.
Right.
And Sayori is not present for reasons that we will get into later.
We'll circle around. Now, at this time in Yuri's story, she is not, as of yet, a practicing Stoic. She is still every bit as passionate as we've always known her. She is not necessarily a token yandere per se, but she certainly exhibits those tendencies as a result of her trying to supplement the loss of her father with MC. I think this is also probably a really good opportunity. I will raise my hand every time we hit plot that I relate to. And this is the first opportunity. Daddy's girl, and dad's not around. And so it was going to be fun, but there are so many moments as we go through this, that it came a lot from my personal life experiences. We used to joke a lot about how, like, the entire developer commentary, once we finished everything, was just going to be one great big giant no more solo Hanako moment after another, because
We also jokingly called the mod the Illy Trauma mod.
it really yeah, because there's a lot of them. So at this time, Yuri is passionate, right?
Yes.
So we reached the festival, and any of you played Blue Skies? Think that, but way worse. It is a massive fight. Everything, there's this just a huge, like, argument between Monica is, like, dialed up to 11. It's a bad situation.
Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law is a bitch, isn't it?
Yeah. At this point in the main overarching story, MC leaves the club, does not come back. He moves on. And again, we'll circle back around to that. So, on the day of the festival, when everything goes to shit real fast, and MC... This was gonna be worse. Lots worse. When MC abandons the club, Yuri's devastated. Like, cripplingly devastated. The one and only man she had in her life for the vast majority of her life is gone. And it's like her father all over again. And she breaks. And this leads to the moment in the bathroom that we experience in the original Amor Fati. Monica's cutting in the bathroom. Cuts a little too much in a really bad area. Go ahead.
Monica cutting in the bathroom?
Oh, God, Yuri. Shut up. It's been a long day. Yuri. My mistake. And then Monica discovers her. In OG Amor Fati, Yuri reveals a scar in her abdomen.
Yeah, she lifts her shirt.
And there's a scar. So, the canon, whatever you want to call it, the canon story for the mod was that Monica found her bleeding out in the bathroom. And this converges with Monica's story, but we'll get there. At this point, Yuri's life is put in danger, and she has to figure out how to get her shit under control. Enter stoicism. And again, her route was the one that we had a few brick walls. So from here,
I'll just go into broad strokes for the rest.
because that's really all we had.
So I guess you want to call central conflict of Yuri's story is that after her father's death.
Oh, I'm going to pause you. The one thing about this mod was that kind of the base conflict for the entire story was the decision to either embrace or resist your fate. So each route, each story has a baseline conflict. Okay, go ahead.
So, as I was going to say, the central conflict in Yuri's story, if we can call it that, was after her father's death, Yuri and her mother had inherited her father's debt, or his college debt.
Lots of it, by the way. 5 routes. We were arguing on this point. I wanted 2 endings each. Sinner wasn't game.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not talking like, $30,000 in debt.
No,
like,
we're talking hundreds. He was a lawyer. So he went to law school. That's a lot of college, and it's not cheap.
Yeah. And then, Yuri and her mother try to figure it out, but then her mother passes away, so Yuri inherits all of that debt. And so Yuri
Twofold.
decides to follow in her father's footsteps and become a lawyer herself. Along the way, during her college days, while she is slowly discovering and learning about Stoicism, she picks up a job as a barista.
In basically like a bookstore library cafe kind of thing, like how Starbucks, Star Schmucks, and Barnes and Noble have like a thingy going on. It would have been a situation like that. And on that note, let's go to the first background. What is going to be the easiest way to do this? Probably this way.
Yeah.
Oh god, I gotta open this.
I kind of want to say the barista part of Yuri's story was going to be something like coffee talk. I
Yeah.
never got far enough to write that.
Yeah. Where is it? Here it is. The hours that this man spent on the CG.
Background, not CG.
Or fucking hell, you know what I mean. Sinner, this is a Sinner original that he made himself. How long did you invest into this specific background? It was a lot.
It was a few days.
Yeah.
As you notice, the, I guess, tagline is good sauce, good vibes. It is based off a cafe that our artist Batebri had known in real life called Good Sauce.
SJ, I think, is drooling over your skills.
SJ, did you not see Lila's bedroom in LAS?
I got it. Hang on.
Because I also made that in a similar art style.
Working on it. Loading, please wait. Here? Maybe? Loading, please wait. Nope, it's in the actual mod. Okay, hold on. Code. I'll find it. Nope. Nope. Loading, please wait. Continue while I'm digging this up.
The only other thing I wanted to say about the cafe background is the one thought I had was like lo-fi, like just the sheer calm, like comforting feeling of lo-fi. And also like
I see you, Bun.
I'm probably gonna butcher the name, but like just I'm not sure for those of you who follow cooking on YouTube, but there is a chef. There's a YouTuber by the name of Alvin Zoo, and he does like the 150-hour chocolate cake or the 48-hour cookies.
So, for reference, Sinner also made this one. With the CG from the spawn we shared in the background.
Looking at Lila's bedroom now, it looks so basic.
It does. Anyway.
Yeah, I wanted to like capture that soft, comforting, almost warm feeling that lo-fi gives in this cafe.
Oh dear God, that is me very big. Tiny Illy. There we go. There you go, yeah. This is going to be the easiest way to do things. Oh, I gotta add chat. Fuck me. Keep going, darling.
So this was obviously this was the cafe Yuri worked at. She had worked at this for, I want to say, a few years during her college days. I imagined one scene where it was a slow, maybe rainy day at the cafe, and so Yuri decides she wants to study in between orders. Her LSAT or bar exam was nearing around, so she like studied furiously in between those. And one of her coworkers comes up and says, like, why are you studying so furiously and stressing yourself out? Like, why don't you relax? Do something you enjoy.
There.
And I also imagine that Yuri would talk to some of her regulars that would come in.
Similar to Coffee Talk.
Yeah. Like, one such regular would come in, order just plain black coffee with 4 spoonfuls of sugar.
Shut up. Son of a bitch.
And Yuri just...
That's how I like my coffee, okay?
And Yuri questions why someone would want their sugar or their coffee is so overwhelmingly sweet, like she's almost judgmental about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then, Yuri talks to this regular, learns that it's just how they prefer it for specific reasons.
I like sweet stuff. Shut up. From here, are we gonna, there's another time skip, essentially.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we can't hit that time skip, and what happens next? Ha! Shut up. We can't explain what happens next until we reach MC. So we'll circle back around.
Also, just on a side note, for those of you that caught on to that, Yuri went to law school, and those that know that Lila would have been a lawyer, Yuri and Lila did not go to the same law school.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way Illy put it is that Yuri would go to like Texas A&M because it's what she could afford.
Yeah.
Lila would go to Yale because she can afford it.
Yeah, like I saw Yuri is going to a significantly like local college, something smaller and affordable because yeah. So Yuri and Lila and now Sayori. No. Oh right, because you're Sayori. Right, you're crossing universes on me. Okay. Sayori is an adult. So and Lila. Okay, you want to move on to Monica?
I guess.
Monica's, we had a lot of it fleshed out, but it was like we were trying to figure out where to do a lot of the crossover. Because for MC and Monica specifically, they had the most crossover with all the other routes. Because you've got the time in the club, and then you've got the ending essentially. But Monica starts at the festival.
It starts when Monica is in the debate club.
Right. Oh, we're gonna reveal some new canon for you guys for Lila. We're gonna be revealing a lot of new canon for Lila. We have spent entirely too much effort filling out her story for a character that will probably never really go anywhere in any real reason. Nice. We'll get to the drunk driving. We'll be circling back around to that. But for a character that might get her own VN someday, maybe we might finish LAS, probably won't, but maybe we'll pluck it off the shelf someday, who fucking knows. But for a character that really has no intended use, we have come to understand Lila very, very well. And a lot of it was in the process of writing this mod. Your Honor, my client has promised cookies. Where are the cookies? Oh, why did it post twice? That is so weird, SJ.
But Your Honor, Freebird was playing.
This son of a bitch. Okay. We move forward.
So, for Monica, the only thing Monica keeps from her character in the original is that she's a devout Christian.
That is literally the only element of her character that sticks around. Nothing else does.
Also, the audience is getting ads.
Understood. I see it. Also, is that
Diablo 4.
That's what I thought it was. Okay. We'll wait.
You know, the original Diablo was literally reverse engineered by fans of the game.
I'm keeping my mouth shut. Blizzard owns my soul, and that's just how it is.
Every time a World of Warcraft DLC ad comes on, I have to close her eyes.
Because, man, they're fiending, man.
And when we were visiting the kids,
Oh, no.
Jason was playing Overwatch, and
Here it comes.
Illy really wanted to play Overwatch. And it's like, come on, you've been doing really good. You can't relapse now. And Jason said, "Is like, haha, relapse."
Yeah, no, it was an amusing situation, but we digress. So Monica's story. So base game, right? She leaves the debate club. That is canon. That is approved base game canon. What we add. What we add is that when she leaves, and this is the beginning of a rivalry that lasts forever. Shut up, Jason! Yes, I literally fought almost physically with my 13-year-old son because I wanted to play and he wanted to play, and we're moving on. So what we have added is that when Monica leaves, the individual that steps in and assumes the debate club presidency, it was me.
So, for a little context, one of the first debates Monica has in the story, or the debate Monica has in the story with Lila, is a discussion about terminally ill patients.
We'll get there. Or go ahead, but we'll circle back around.
Lila embraces Machiavellian politics. Monica tries to do the morally correct thing.
So, whereas Monica is ethical and virtuous and, just wants to be a good person, Lila's like, yeah, but where's the profit? Okay, nope, I'm sure we're gonna get a noise complaint. He got me with that.
But to summarize, Monica's character in Changing Fates, for those of you who have seen the anime or read the manga,
Here it comes. Here it comes.
For those who have seen or read Monster, just imagine Monica as Dr. Tenma.
By the way, if you haven't acquainted yourself with this anime, fucking do it. It will change your life. And for reference, those of you that have seen Monster, Monica's Tenma, Johan is Sam. Been 10,000 years since you've seen it, yeah. You scared the shit out of me because I thought I thought bad things were gonna happen to Dieter because that's the first thing you said, and I'm like, no, please, no, please. Anyway. So, debate club, right?
Monica and Lila debate over what to do with terminally ill patients.
Lila's like, kill him.
Yeah, Lila's like, they're an expenditure of energy, time, and money that could be going elsewhere.
And this is only the beginning of a rivalry that extends significantly far. So once Monica leaves, Lila takes over. Lila bears some legitimate resentment because Monica's just like, I can't deal with this, you deal with it. And Lila's like, well, fuck. Fast forward through the club. We get to the festival. Natsuki and Monica have it out. Yuri jumps in too, but massive fight. Very similar, but much worse than Blue Skies. And MC leaves. Sayori's not even there for reasons. Natsuki bails on the club, so it's basically just down to Monica and Yuri at this point. So Yuri's got her own shit going on. Fast forward to the moment in the bathroom. I don't think I'm missing anything, because, yeah. So we go through that experience, right? And then, what came next?
So, one of Monica's goals in the story is she is studying to be a neurosurgeon.
For obvious reasons.
Didn't steal that from anything.
Bullshit.
Hey, in fact, you were the one that suggested she become a neurosurgeon.
It's true, actually. At this time, I had not seen Monster yet, so I'm the one that suggested it, and Sinner's like, yes.
Anyway,
Tell me
so
why.
Monica's studying to be a doctor. So Monica walks into Yuri bleeding out. Being the
Right. Now I remember.
seen as Monica probably has taught herself or learned first aid, Monica says, like, I got this.
So she attempts to save Yuri's life herself.
But she kind of fucks it up and she ends up having to call an ambulance. And by this point, Yuri has lost so much blood that the paramedics and the doctor are like, the only thing that's going to save Yuri is a blood transfusion. And Yuri has a very specific blood type, and Monica happens to be O negative, so Monica happens to be the only capable person of giving a blood transfusion.
Ultimately saving Yuri's life and explaining why Yuri is like, no, I need to figure this out. So we move forward, and Monica is in undergrad. Right, this is like freshman, sophomore year of college. You're just getting started. You haven't even like hit the big leagues yet. In Monica's dorm, at Monica's college, she is her roommate. Guess who? And they bicker endlessly. Like, just so much.
They don't bicker all the time. You said that there would be a point where Monica would open up Lila's humanity a bit.
Yes, and there would be a bit of like a vulnerability moment for Lila, but then eventually her pride would take over and it'd be like, no, I hate you.
Yeah, like they bicker, like where Monica would probably order eggs Benedict, Lila would order eggs Florentine.
Because it's fancier.
It's more exotic.
Yeah.
Where Monica would order a ham and cheese, Lila would order a croque monsieur.
Which I can't even pronounce.
I don't speak French, so.
So basically, and this is the gist, we have, there's so much more on top of that, but it's not part of this mod. So, moving on to, Monica, eventually at some point she graduates. She becomes a fairly successful neurosurgeon. The more or less climax of her route.
And I swear I didn't steal this from Monster, but
I will let you go ahead.
But one of Monica's patients was a little girl with a, we'll just say, weird, wacky, very
not textbook
case. And Monica spends months like seeing over this girl and preparing to perform surgery. Well, it just so happens that her father, the hospital director, has an aneurysm, and they ask Monica specifically to operate on him.
On the same day. At the same time. And she has to make a choice.
And so Monica chooses to operate on the little girl.
Her father dies.
Hey, I said I didn't steal this from Monster. Totally didn't. Totally didn't get any inspiration whatsoever from Monster.
So, naturally, she is pulled in and spoken to by the now new hospital staff, and they're like,
you gotta go.
You fucked up, right? Monica, of course, tries to fight. She tries to argue. So they have to bring in the lawyers. Guess who's graduated law school? We had art done for lawyer Lila that, dear God, those of you who love Lila, it rock hard. You get me? Like, she looked good. She looked good.
Gotta call Shawl.
Shut up. So, Lila comes in, right? Naturally, she is the hospital's attorney. She is there, essentially to tell Monica she's boned and get the fuck out, or else legal action. So, devastated, broken, completely devoid of everything she has spent literally her entire life trying to work towards, Monica loses it all. And she self-destructs.
So
Hard.
Monica goes home. She looks at a bottle of whiskey that she's had for quite a few years, and she decides to indulge in it. A little too much.
A lot.
She blacks out drunk, wakes up the next morning with a hangover. Monica takes a walk outside,
Decides to go to church.
I was going to lead somewhere else first.
Oh,
Monica goes
shit.
outside, gets some fresh air, touch some grass, stops by a familiar church. She decides to step inside.
This is where her route converges with MC's for the mod's ending. We'll circle back around. Who's next?
Natsuki.
Okay. Here we go. So you guys remember Sinner's submission, right? Right? Those of you that were here, the tears, the crying. This route and Sayori's route were the stories that were bound to eviscerate me live. Writing some of them left me shredded a lot because Natsuki's route was pretty much mostly written, scripted out, so on and so forth. There was a few holes, but for the most part, especially the stuff that was trauma heavy for me, that was already written and I was working on going through. Monica MC in a church sounds like a joke waiting to happen. But Natsuki's route...
To, I guess, start. Natsuki's route starts with a monologue. For those of you who have played Planetarium Reverie of a Little Planet, the monologue sounds a little familiar. Natsuki wakes up from her... It turns out Natsuki was dreaming. She wakes up from her dream. It is a cloudy, rainy day.
Now she is how old at this point? Reminder.
Natsuki is 19.
Okay, so this is... Oh, that's right. We did a rewind for her.
Yeah, also, tangent. We decided to use the alternate universe tag in fanfiction a lot. In this canon, Natsuki is 19. But wait, let me rephrase. By the time the festival happens, Natsuki is 19.
I have not.
Yuri is 17.
Yes. Natsuki's older.
So, Natsuki is 19. It's a dreary, rainy day. The atmosphere is kind of oppressive, and Natsuki is alone. Natsuki gets up. She wakes up alone in her house. She gets herself up ready for school. She just goes on about her day.
So at this point, she's 18 and Yuri's 16 because 19 implies that they're out of school.
No, remember, Natsuki was held back for reasons.
Right. Which we never padded out. Don't ask us what we were going to do with that. We didn't know.
Actually, I can explain why Natsuki was 19. So, for those of you who had it to submission, or were...
I remember.
For those of you who were there for my submission, it is... Natsuki, in her past, in her childhood, was a child actor.
Told you guys I'd raise my hand for every trauma.
Obviously, Natsuki had a lot of issues and trauma associated with it, and a lot of issues with her family following her retirement. This led to Natsuki having a rough time in school and eventually being held back.
Because when she wasn't at school, she was working for her dad.
Her uncle.
Uncle, right.
Yeah, because mother commits suicide and eventually her father just poofs.
Literally bails on her when she's out of school. The story that she told that was pulled straight from from our timeline.
Yeah, so Natsuki eventually moves in with her uncle and works at his restaurant. She works as a waitress. Her uncle totally doesn't steal like 90% of her paycheck or of her tips.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, like he was skimming her Hardcore.
Like, where she would make like $1,200, Natsuki would only keep like 120.
Yeah. Bad deal, basically.
Eventually, Natsuki like moves out and picks like the cheapest lot that she can find, which so happens to be in a small town called Seishin Takina.
Shut up, guys.
Which, for those of you that have played Watashi Zuzumi, will find familiar.
A little bit. A little bit. Hey, have you seen the ice cream stand? Anyways. So, fresh out of high school, trying to get on her feet on her own, she gets this super duper cheap restaurant lot and tries to build.
Yeah, except Natsuki knows like nothing about construction.
Literally nothing. And, you know, she's tiny.
But thankfully, there happens to be a neighbor of hers.
No, delivery guy, remember?
Oh.
He was bringing her shit.
Okay. So there happens to be a delivery guy who happens to live in the same town and is a bit of a neighbor to her. Since she's new in town and he's neighborly, he decides, hey, I'll help you with your restaurant.
And you look kind of familiar, too. I think we've interacted before.
Yeah, as it turns out, this delivery guy was MC.
In case that wasn't obvious.
So, you know, he hauls Natsuki's things into the restaurant. He's like, I measured it. It'll fit.
This son of a bitch.
Like, don't worry, I got this. I don't need to read a book. I got this.
It's fine. Ultimately, Natsuki proves herself more or less able. And eventually it becomes readily apparent that the two of them interacted when they were in the club together.
Yep. So as MC is helping Natsuki build the restaurant, they also build their relationship.
Yeah.
Eventually the two move in together.
Get married. Just like the submission.
They get married. They awkwardly try to have sex.
Yeah, no, we definitely talked about that. So we weren't going to have H scenes, but we had a lengthy conversation about what sex between the two of them was going to be like.
and I say this in the context of that in Japan, they generally don't. Oh.
I'm glad you're still here, sweetheart.
I'll try to keep this brief. But in Japan, they generally don't talk about sex ed because they find it to be an uncomfortable subject. So MC and Natsuki don't really know anything about it. So it's just awkward.
Just kind of floundering around, like just a couple of virgins that are like, okay, let's try to do this.
And we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Anyway, they get married. They ultimately, Natsuki gets pregnant. And I'm gonna raise my hand again.
Yeah.
I'm not pregnant now. Okay, this is an important distinction. I am not pregnant now. This is referring to my last pregnancy with my youngest.
Yeah. As it turns out, Natsuki doesn't really handle the pregnancy very well. She can barely hold any food down. Like, in one scene, Natsuki was craving a burger and a shake. MC goes out and gets it. Natsuki tries to eat it. But
Jason, he was like, Mom?
Natsuki tries to eat it and she gets sick. Violently sick.
Yeah.
The only thing Natsuki could really keep down was rice and ketchup.
Mm-hmm. Which is an absurd combination, but okay, sure. Yeah, that's a noise complaint. I know that's what that is. No? Okay. Anyway, she spends the entire pregnancy sick and as a result, malnourished because Natsuki. Fast forward to the day the baby's born. And I'm not raising my hand here, obviously, because I'm still here.
But suffice to say, Natsuki dies in childbirth.
Yeah. So we've reached our first Doki death. The only Doki that had more or less an unmarked run for changing fates was Monica, of all people. Everybody else comes out with some sort of either wounds, scars, or ultimately death. And Natsuki was This is our first for the conversation. I don't think Natsuki would have been first in the route. We were having a lot of trouble figuring out route dispersion, how it would work. The ultimate irony, yes. I wanted to start out with Sayori's route because of a lot of reasons that we'll mention when we get there. But we were very undecided on how we were going to do that.
For a long time, we were thinking, like, we wanted the route. I wanted the experience of Changing Fates to be like a buffet. Like, you can go in, you can start wherever you wanted. Like, you could start wherever you wanted, stop whenever you wanted, go to another story.
Yeah. Which leads us to. We can finally leave this. Okay, so.
Slurp.
We discussed this in advance.
For those of you who watch Game Grumps, like, that's probably my favorite name for.
Here you go.
One of my favorite names. Next to Racist Bassist.
Hell yeah. So, this is pretty much what we had. You had options. I wanted a linear story personally. Yep. And of course, naturally, it doesn't end there because we have MC to deal with. But you had options. You could start literally anywhere. I wanted a linear story. I wanted to start with one and end at the ending. Meaning the ending with Monica and MC. Little circle. But that was, of course, our ultimate ending. We were eventually going to end the entire mod, the entire story, with MC and Monica in that church. It's just this time she lives. But to get to that point, I wanted a linear story where you'd start with one, finish that one, move to the next, so on and so forth. The downside there is because of how much overlap occurred, a linear route was just not feasible.
Well, we had a route order that we suggested for an optimal experience, but overall I wanted a buffet experience.
Yeah, so you could pick and choose. So what I would like to do is at this point reveal something very nice. Ladies and gentlemen, please look up in the upper left-hand corner.
Also, for those of you who have played Clanad, this first text box will look familiar.
All right, hang on. Let me zoom. Let me engage some zoom. Okay. Now y'all can see it. Because of the overlap, because of the story plot complexity, we wanted to have... Fair enough. We wanted to have a means for people to understand where in the timeline their experience was taking place. We came up with this. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are going to be experiencing, because of DevCom, or just playing on your own, if you're going to be playing the playable version of Sayori as an adult, lead dev is Bun Bun, but I'm on board as co-writer along with Frick. But you guys will see this again, because we'll be using a variant of this.
Also, credit to Yaga Mirai for the date thing.
Yes. So is the entirety of this Yaga, or
What do you mean?
just the whole?
The art, the RPY file, everything was done by Yaga.
Bun Bun, that's where you can get your stuff if it's still not working. You just find Yaga's coding shit. But anyway.
It should be either in mod code or mod art in the DDMC server.
There you go. Okay. Now then. So going back to Natsuki, right? We killed her off. She's gone. Who do you want to do first? We have two options.
MC or Sayori?
I kind of want to do Sayori's because, of course, for obvious reasons, MC has the most overlap.
Yeah, we'll do Sayori.
While Sinner came into this development with a overall plan of what he wanted for Sayori's route, where he wanted it to go, what he wanted to happen. I feel weird bragging about this. I would like you to do it for me.
So, allow me to paint a picture. Sayori in this story is also a daddy's girl. She follows her dad's footsteps, and
I was talking about how it was orchestrated. It feels weird bragging about it myself.
let me just
yes, sir.
picture and put some context.
Sir, yes, sir.
So Sayori is a daddy's girl, and she follows wherever her dad goes. Sayori's dad works as a car mechanic. He is also quite a bit of a smoker.
Literally 2-3 packs a day. Like the man constantly has a cigarette.
And obviously Sayori was, to put it one way, Daddy's #1 assistant. So she would always help around in his shop.
From a very young age. Like little Sayori, the ability. That version of Sayori would be at the mechanic shop with her dad, watching everything he does. So as a result, secondhand smoke's a bitch, guys. And I'm gonna raise my hand so fucking hard for this entire route. This was the route that was gonna destroy me more than anything.
Not just secondhand smoking, but gasoline vapors, various other chemicals.
Yeah, just lots of bad.
And so Sayori eventually develops a cough. She goes to her primary care doctor. They're like, it's strep throat. Here's some antibiotics. Have a nice day.
Mm-hmm.
The cough persists. She goes back to her doctor.
Oh, it's bronchitis. We'll get you some steroids. You'll be fine.
Oh, it's pneumonia.
Mm-hmm. This continues for years.
Eventually, Sayori is a senior in high school. She is about to go on her summer trip. She just so happens to be going to Seishin Takina to go to a beach.
We were undecided on the actual reason for going to the beach. The original plan was that it was basically a graduation send-off for the seniors, and everybody was just culminating in this big spring break type thing at the beach.
So, Sayori, but as Sayori's in the airport, she's caught off guard by the smell of donuts. But Sayori hears an announcement and realizes that she's late for her flight. So she runs.
Hard.
Very hard. When she gets to the gate or terminal, she is so tired, so winded by her run that she blacks out.
Faints. Right there in the middle of the terminal.
When Sayori wakes up, she's in the hospital room. There, her doctor comes up and asks, so how long have you had lung cancer?
Writing this scene, because, he got it started for me, but a lot of... This is a good point for the brag that I want you to drop in here.
What brag?
My responsibility, how much of Sayori was mine? The trip in the car? Ringing any bells?
Yeah.
Let's paint another picture for you. This one in real life. We go to the grocery store.
So, Illy and I are on our way to the store. Obviously, we discuss what we want to do with the mod.
I see you. We'll get there, SJ. Don't worry, we'll get there. The drugs will come.
So, Illy describes to me...
We lived in BFE, so the trip to and from the grocery store is like a 3-hour ordeal.
It's not a 3-hour ordeal. It's a 20-minute drive just to get to the nearest grocery store.
Right. The whole experience was 3 hours, including shopping. I know it was 3 hours because I remember this.
But throughout the entire time, she describes or spitballs this. She's in the best muse possible, and she describes 3 days of Sayori's route.
And I mean, I started at the beginning and just pretty much detailed the whole plot start to finish, I see. I was just so here's what would happen, then that would lead to this, then that would lead to this, culminating in the climax of her route, which we'll get to momentarily.
So, do we want to have a small intermission for ad? Ad break?
Yeah, we'll give it a minute or two. How many you got? Good Christ. I definitely, after stream today, I need to figure out what the fuck is happening there. Because that's not right. It shouldn't be happening that often. Nor that much.
You know, I don't think they let kids in here, Pipsqueak.
There it is! Let's go! Jason, remember we were talking about earlier? I was trying to get him to do the voice. The reason he's called Uncle Crow in your server, he just did it. Which makes me very happy because I love that voice too much.
I got a number of inappropriate stories that'll back that up. But we'll say that for another time.
Bar none, Sinner's Crow, best crow. Seriously. Like, so much.
Yeah, except Rooster Teeth hasn't hired me to do Crow for volumes 7, 8, and 9.
Which is a heartbreaking thing because, good God, like, it's just perfect. It's so perfect. It's a shame what happened to the original BA, but, yeah.
Also, ads are done.
Okay. So, Sayori's rat. So she's in the hospital, right? And the verdict comes out.
She has stage 4 lung cancer, and her doctor basically says, you'd be lucky to graduate.
That line in particular is definitely me. That was my senior year. Of course, I didn't have cancer. I had a weird blood disease, but the same conversation took place.
So, you know, doctors write Sayori some prescriptions.
We got you, SJ. They start small, right? I mean, she's terminal, so at this point, it's about mitigating symptoms and making her comfortable. So they start very, very small. They start with like Tylenol 3, little shit, and eventually, over the course of her treatment, towards the end, they have graduated to Norco, Vicodin, and then ultimately they just go balls out, and she's on morphine because her time's running out and she's in agony.
But while she also has medicine for her pain, they also give her medicine for her mental health. So they give her antidepressants, Xanax, a mood stabilizer.
Antidepressants don't work like that. Yeah, we were gonna go there.
Yeah, and basically, Sayori feels bad about her condition and how she feels about her family.
The monologue that we have for her waking up in the hospital and after the doctor has his conversation with her, we had a monologue, more like a soliloquy, but anyway, of Sayori just being like, that's it. I'm done. My days are numbered. And that monologue, until the day the mod had to be canceled and we scrapped everything, I had never been able to just read through the monologue one way through without breaking the fuck down. It was a rough one.
This also explains why sometimes we joke about, like, so Sayori, how's the smoker's cough?
This is the origin of that meme.
So, yeah. So, Sayori tries to go through school with her diagnosis.
But she's constantly missing days, missing like weeks at a time. Nobody sees her. This is why she's not there for the festival. It's not because she hangs herself. It's because she's going through another 3-week hospital stay, and I'm raising my hand again.
Yeah, she's medically withdrawn. So, eventually, Sayori hears rumors of a drug dealer in school. And so she decides that, just fuck it, I'm going to die anyway, I'm going to check this out. So she decides to meet with this drug dealer. She goes to an old abandoned science lab.
I mean, keep in mind, this is dim-witted Sayori. Like, just because she's terminal, she's still Sayori. So she's going to do a bunch of, like, brain-dead shit and be innocent in situations that are not innocent.
Yeah. Like, Sayori cannot... I remember Sayori could not, like, describe the specific drug she wanted from the drug dealer.
Yeah. So he starts spitballing shit at her, and she's like, what does it do? How's that going to make me feel? Sinner trying not to kill Sayori challenge impossible. Don't worry, we'll get there.
So, like, Sayori's like, I want something that'll, like, take me on an adventure. And the drug dealer is like, well, we got a lot of shit that does that. It's like, I kind of want something that'll put me to sleep. And the drug dealer's like, you can go to the corner store and get some melatonin.
And it's like, no, I want something stronger. Look, I'm in constant pain. I can't sleep, and I'm tired.
And so eventually, like, the drug dealer was like, "Oh, you want some roofies?"
Yeah. And this just, we hadn't really nailed down just how deep down that rabbit hole she goes, but eventually she digs herself out.
Yeah. So
Welcome, Craig. We're talking about terminally ill Sayori playing with drugs. This is a very short-lived part of her story, like 1, 2 scenes at absolute most. We were not going to invest time on this, but we were providing it as a way, as a bit of a, not quite red herring, but not quite foreshadowing either.
oh, I also want to say as a side note, for those of you who have either heard of or read the visual novel Narcosu First and Second Side,
I'm not allowed to play that one at all.
just read that and you'll basically have what would have been Sayori's story.
Yeah.
Because Narcosu depicts a story of a terminally ill girl who goes on a road trip. Which brings us to the next point. So, after many months and having to repeat senior year, Sayori decides she wants to run away.
She's had enough, and she's just like, look, I don't have many days left, and
So she hears rumors of this guy that will drive people to parties or to certain destinations.
essentially a high school Uber.
Yeah, designated driver at parties.
Yeah.
And so she decides to befriend him. This person happens to be MC.
Obviously.
In this story, MC is a delinquent. He wakes up, stays up all night, wakes up late, doesn't attend classes.
Doesn't really give a shit. Like, he's classic Amor Fati edgy MC. Like, but dialed up a bit.
Just think of the MC from Clannad.
Goes over my head. I haven't played it yet.
But suffice to say, Sayori befriends MC. They have a superficial friendship.
Very superficial.
So they make plans to run away together.
Not necessarily together as a couple together, but like he would get her started and eventually they would branch off on their own. Of course, at this time, MC has no idea about her illness. Her intention is to die on her own terms. That's what she wants at this point. She knows her days are numbered.
Yeah, like, the best way I could put it is, like, in Western films, like in cowboy films, Sayori's road trip is her dead man's walk.
Pretty much.
She knows she's going to die at the end of it.
And with the senior beach event in progress, actually, that was a timeline hiccup. That was a continuity issue that I am only just now discovering because
No.
the game plan was the beach,
Yeah.
but
The beach happened during Sayori's senior year. But then Sayori has to repeat senior year, so she missed out on it.
okay, so our reasoning for her going to the beach was I missed out. I like the beach. I want to go to the beach.
Beach is peaceful.
And a good place to die.
So, anyway. Sayori and MC plan when they want to meet up and just run away.
So the point at which my spitballing for these 3 days starts here. There's a mental image of Sayori walking it. We'll get there. We have a CG for that. We'll get there.
So, first day.
Oh, CG. I have a CG, Tom. Where are you? There you are. Oh, shit. Hang on. I gotta move it. There we go.
So, suffice to say, first day, MC and Sayori meet up at midnight, and then, like, MC basically Nat escapes her. Those have played exit music. And they drive off.
Greek suicide.
Actually, I think there might be a different CG we could show first.
Okay.
Oh, right, I forgot you have yours on the bottom.
Uh-huh. And I forget you have yours on the side, which is weird. Ah, here we go. Yeah.
So they drive for a few hours, and they stop to, rest, stretch their legs and stuff.
It's important to note at this point in Sayori's story that she is on all of the most hardcore medications she could possibly be on, high doses of everything from antidepressants to anti-anxiety medications, and of course, the morphine. This is important.
So they stop and get some fresh air, and Sayori sees this beautiful landscape. It's like the first time she's seen such vivid, exotic colors in a long time. It just fills her with joy. And so MC and Sayori have a semi-candid conversation, and here Sayori pulls out a map and points to a town, Takina, where she was going to go to the beach for her senior trip.
Look off, Pat. We would have done it better, and you know it. Sorry. I'm not bitter.
And so they're like, okay, cool, we'll do that. Like, okay, fine, I'll take you there. So they continue their road trip. They stop, get coffee and hot chocolate. Pretend that they're a married couple on a honeymoon.
To essentially avoid people asking too many questions, like, where are your parents? What are you doing? Like, that kind of shit.
So yeah. First day pretty much goes normal. Like, imagine it as the first day in Majora's Mask.
One might also call it the calm before the storm. I had to.
So, it's a beautiful landscape. On the second day, MC's car breaks down. Keep in mind, MC's car is
It's a lemon.
It's a 1986?
1995.
1995 Prism.
Geo Prism. Which were known for, like, literally driving down the highway and their wheel axles just coming off spontaneously. And I'm going to raise my hand.
So, MC's car breaks down. Sayori happens to be a mechanic.
Well, so obviously, right? Well, she thinks herself a mechanic because she's watched her dad for years and years and years.
And been his assistant, so she knows her way around cars.
More or less.
So she takes a look at it and is like, it's a miracle this car started in the first place. Like, there's so many problems with this car.
Like, look at that, like, insert technical automotive term here. Look at that. Look how it's, like, off kilter.
Yeah, like...
And MC's just like, what?
Like, the wires have been tuned, the spark plugs are rusted, the Tommy belt is dry and ripping apart.
And she's spitting just all of this lingo at him, and he's just like, whoa. Because this just goes so far over his head. Because Dense MC is Dense MC.
So MC and Sayori just kind of sit in the hot sun. I kind of imagine something from Cowboy Bebop playing. Like, digging my potato.
I wish we could play an example of that song so you guys could get it, but look it up on YouTube.
Like, just think alone acoustic guitar.
Mm-hmm. It's very, like, unplugged and yeah.
Yeah. And so they kind of have a conversation. Sayori kind of asks MC, like, you have a son, what would you do with him? And MC's like, I'd like to go fishing with him.
Yeah, like, they literally just... this is essentially their first moment really just opening up to each other. It's a big bonding thing, and it's so light and happy and wonderful. Eventually,
they get picked up, and someone takes them to the nearest gas station where they can call for help. So, Sayori, they go to a mechanic. Sayori explains all the problems.
And it's just going through all this lingo, and the mechanic's like, oh, okay. And like, they have this conversation where, once again, the MC's just like, the fuck?
Like, I imagine Sayori, like, boomhauer her way through the mechanic.
And well, that's how it ultimately looked to MC, because to him, they're speaking another language. Like, he's not getting any, and like, Sayori, like, literally, like, gets in this argument with the mechanic, like, no, don't you dare charge, like, $1,000. I know for a fact that you can get this part for $50 and you can do it in the next hour. Oh, important to note, when they left town,
they had a combined budget of like $700.
at most. For MC, it was what he made
Being an Uber.
and for Sayori, it's everything from donations from people who were like, "Oh, you're dying. Oh, here's money." You know, she had a GoFundMe, the whole 9 yards. So it's all the money that she had managed to accrue from that.
And that she had left over.
Mm-hmm.
So they happen to stay at like cheap hotels, like,
Very
cheap hotel, a small hotel with like,
The kind of hotel that charges hourly rates.
and they like have to, and it's like a 1 bedroom, so they have to share. But MC insists you'll sleep on the floor.
Yeah, and there's a conversation that happens there. Day 2.
Yeah. During the end of day 2, I imagine a scene where it's raining, it's late at night,
They finally get the car working.
and MC hits a dog that just happened to be walking.
Oh, this sequence.
MC's like, I'm not gonna stop, but Sayori insists on stopping.
She is jarringly emotional about the fact that this dog is wounded, possibly dying, and they're just abandoning him. Naturally, of course, there's subtext happening there. But
Like Sayori's like, we can take him to a vet, right? MC's like, he's gonna die.
not gonna make it.
So MC asks Sayori to look away because MC was gonna put the dog out, just snapping its neck.
Mm-hmm.
And Sayori's like, no, I'm gonna look. And for Sayori's perspective, there is a monologue where she compares herself to the dog. That,
Mm-hmm.
It has no home, no place to stay, and it's dying.
Mm-hmm.
And wishing that it gets to be put out of its misery.
Mm-hmm. Like from MC's perspective, it's like she is weirdly emotional about a dying dog. That, like, hi there, welcome.
Yeah, you came at a great time. We were talking about Sayori.
And we are on our way into day 3. Ultimately, MC puts the dog down, and again, he's just sitting there like, why is she so emotional? Like, Sayori is on the verge of tears. And he's just like, what is happening here?
So, MC puts the dog down. Sayori gets flowers to the dog, and they put him by the side of the road. They continue on to the nearest hotel.
Here we go. This is still the portion of the story that I spitballed during a 40-minute combined total car ride and the hour and a half in the store in between.
So, day 3.
Here we go. This is the climax of her route.
Thanks to their late night, MC and Sayori wake up late.
Very
MC's like, fuck, we have to leave now. Like, just throw everything in the car and we gotta get going.
And Sayori, naturally, because she's got all these prescriptions that, of course, he still doesn't know about, is like, hang on, I gotta make sure I'm not forgetting anything. You're not forgetting anything. Let's go. We're running late. It's clicking. Clicking. The clock is ticking. And in the process of this, guess what gets left behind?
Your morphine.
Now, for those of you who don't know about morphine, once you've been on it for a significant enough amount of time,
depending on who you are, it could be a week to several weeks.
To months. Like, at this point, Sayori's been on this for, I would venture, at least a couple of months, probably a few months, long enough to endanger her life in the event she has to stop.
So, the first few hours are okay.
Sayori nibbles through a donut at breakfast, like she maybe eats a quarter of it, and this immediately tips MC off. Yeah. Something is wrong.
The next red flag is when Sayori turns on the heater and bundles up in her jacket because she feels cold.
And MC looks over and she is dumping buckets of sweat.
Even though it's like 98 Fahrenheit out.
Mm-hmm. 40-ish Celsius. So, like, obviously there's something very wrong with Sayori. Can't really put his finger on it, and she ain't talking. But over time, she gets paler and, like, clammy and just not looking good. So he confronts her. He's like, are you all right? Oh, I'm fine. Okay. Eventually, MC, pull over. Why? Pull over. He immediately stops the car. Keep in mind, these are dirt country roads. There's no traffic. But he pulls over, and Sayori pukes. Violently. Very violently. So, eventually the conversation occurs. And Sayori's like, well, I have this medication that I have to take. And he's like, well, okay, like, what is it? Like, you taking antibiotics or, like, he starts guessing at simple shit. And this is where the reveal happens, where she explains her diagnosis.
Well,
Raise my hand.
Well, she doesn't explain her diagnosis. She just explains that she's on morphine, and if she doesn't take it, she's going to die.
Or her life is at the very least. Yeah, right. She doesn't confess to the cancer at this point. She just is like, look, I have to take a medication that if I suddenly stop taking it, my life is at risk. The one CG that I wish I could show you guys is the sequence that happens next. We had a CG for this.
Drive safe, Greg.
Yes. I wish Batebri had finished this CG so that we could show it to you.
And so MC is like, okay, I'll drive you to the nearest hospital.
And so the race is on.
Yeah. MC is like speeding, like the speed limit's like 70. MC is going like 120.
Which is just barely what the Prism can handle. Is there a sketch? Oh, I don't think I still have it.
No.
I think it's gone. Sadly.
Yeah, suffice to say, eventually MC is pulled over by a police officer, and MC just explains to the officer that, like, look, it's a medical emergency. My friend here is dying or something. I need to get her to a hospital.
Whoa. You skipped a step. The CG. Because this happens first, and that's when MC panics. We're backtracking. So she's like, look, I'm getting sick. It's not good. Eventually, they pull over at a gas station. Because Sayori's not good, and she's like, look, I need to go to the bathroom. I'm not okay. You know, whatever.
There's no CG or sketch for it.
For this particular moment. But what we had planned / drafted. Okay. So she goes into the women's room, right? And this is like backwoods gas station. So it's one of those gas stations that just looks dirty. It looks grungy. The bathrooms are in their own building off the side of the gas station. And it's the kind of bathrooms that you want to take a shower and at least like sanitize yourself hardcore after going in there, right? There's toilet paper everywhere. There might be piss in the corner, used condoms. Who fucking knows? It's a nasty, dirty place.
There might be like a phone number to like call this for a good time.
Right, like it's a bad situation. Graffiti everywhere. So she goes into the women's room and she's in there. And she's in there. And she's in there. And she's in there for a really long time.
Like 20 minutes.
A while. Long enough for MC to become concerned. So in classic base game fashion, this motherfucker gently opens the door. And the CG that we had was Sayori on the bathroom floor in a ball, surrounded essentially by her own vomit.
And blood.
No, the blood was from other users. It was gas station.
No. Remember.
Oh, because you're throwing up blood at this point.
Yeah,
right?
no, she was vomiting and also coughing up blood.
Right. Thank you for fixing that. Okay. This CG would have been mind-blowing. Like, God, I wish we at least had a sketch, but we don't, so it's fine. So this was the big moment. This was the gently opening the door. We were probably going to have literally the sound stinger and everything. And he walks in and it is just a scene. And at this point he realizes, fuck, this is bad. So this is where he is speeding, trying to get them to somewhere with civilization. Because, I mean, these are country roads. There ain't shit for miles. And the cop pulls them over because he's, like, literally doing 110, 120 on, like, a 65 mile per hour road.
Well, this is Japan, so we should probably translate for kilometers per hour.
Which I can't do, so good luck. Anyways, cop pulls him over. he tries to explain the situation, and the cop's like, "You're full of shit, right? What you're just trying to make excuses, whatever." And then this is the point where the cop looks over at Sayori, and it's like, "Oh, she's not okay." So he provides them kindly with an escort to a local hospital, and this is where everything goes off.
Yeah. So.
Thank you, SJ. Big preach.
So
Resident
police officer gets him an escort to the nearest hospital. MC rushes into the hospital. Is like, my friend is in danger. She needs medical attention now. It's freaking out. A doctor or nurse pulls him aside. He's like, okay, can you explain the situation? And MC's like she's dying. She needs this medication. Yada yada.
I was like, wait a minute, you're just here for painkillers, aren't you? They assume that MC is a junkie.
Well, they assume that MC's friend is a junkie, and they're like, okay, there is a rehab clinic 150 kilometers down the road.
I was like, okay, thanks, bye. So MC goes out to the car, and there's a fantastic monologue from his route. Don't mind if I do. There's a fantastic monologue in his route where he's like, this is ridiculous. Like, she can't even get medical care. So he goes back. And finally, he reaches somebody that's actually willing to take him seriously.
No.
I'm sorry.
Like, MC's having his monologue, like, what have I gotten myself into? Why did I have to take her with me? Why did I have to rush her out of the door? Basically, kind of self-destructing. And but as he's monologuing with his forehead on the steering wheel, he hears a knock on his window. It's a drug dealer. It's like, hey, saw you out there.
No.
Like your friend keys.
Where I was going happens before that.
No,
Because there's the conversation about insurance, and it's like, well, shit.
No. There was no conversation about insurance. It was.
I guess that was an undecided.
Insurance was never a factor.
Yeah, no, because he goes to the hospital, finally gets somebody who's willing to listen, and they're like, okay, does she have,
They asked her, like, does she have a prescription written by your doctor written this week?
And it's like, of course not.
I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. So they turn him down. So MC's monologuing, basically, like, what have I got myself into? And then MC hears a knock on his window, and he sees a drug dealer willing to help him out.
For this sprite, it was not confirmed nor decided, but I was actually in conversation with Anthony. We were considering using his MC. Never decided, but he was kind of our temporary consideration solution. But the bottom line is the dude is peddling drugs outside of a hospital.
We jokingly said, like, why not use Shiro?
Yeah, that conversation did happen.
And so, I don't understand drug dealer talk.
I was going to write this portion because obviously I do.
I was going to allow you to rewrite it.
Yeah, he tried. He tried, and I went in and read it, and I'm like, this is, oh, honey, you innocent bean.
So anyway, MC talks to this drug dealer. He's like, what do you want? Like, you just, like, go away. I don't want what you're having.
And the guy looks at Sayori, and he's like, oh. So, like, he eventually, the conversation eventually circles around to the fact that she is going through opiate withdrawal. And he's like, look, I don't have any pills. I don't have any morphine. I don't have any of those things. But I do have an opiate.
Yeah, heroin. Well, rephrase. The drug dealer is like, got some tar. He's like, what? He's like, got some smack. It's like, what? Like, heroin, my guy.
Yeah, these are poor. I hope we don't get in trouble for using these terms on Twitch. I might edit this out in the highlight. Anyway. He's spitting a bunch of, like, street terms at him, and he has no idea what he's talking about, so it's like, heroin. This becomes a conflict. Now, all the while, from Sayori's perspective, the poor dear is losing her shit, hallucinating, in and out of consciousness. It's a bad situation.
Like, let me just put it this way. Like,
Got you. While he's going through ads, I'm going to pull up this code because the code exists, and the fact that it exists amused me to no end when I was going through this code.
Yeah.
This morning. Ah, shit. Hang on. I fix. Oh, I gotta make that a lot bigger. Do we have any Tool fans? Big fans of Tool. Maynard epic metal. Just good fucking shit. If you like Tool, you might recognize some of this.
Yeah.
We weren't decided on whether or not we were actually going to use this because the chances are we probably would have gotten in trouble legally. But this was a tentative kind of like, we're going to drop this here. Maybe we'll use it, maybe we won't.
Illy described that one of the symptoms of opioid withdrawal was like...
Hey, thank you, Greg, for the gifted sub. Sinner, yay! Ha! Kara recognizes it. I love that. That makes me so fucking happy.
So, Illy described that one of the symptoms was like dementia or hallucinating.
I mean, the poor dear's been puking her guts up for literal hours at this point.
So, as a bit of a nod, I decided to depict Sayori's dementia or hallucination by having her recite the opening verse to Rosetta Stone.
And MC's just like, what are you talking about? We tentatively toyed, and I don't know if we settled on it or not, I forget, but we tentatively toyed with the prospect of possibly, from her perspective, having a silhouette of a certain angel.
No, it was one of two things. It was either a silhouette of an angel, Sam, or Sayori was going to hallucinate the Sayori portal CG from Shrieking Violet.
Which I don't have, sadly. But, yeah.
And basically this voice was going to tell her, like, Sayori, you're the chosen one.
Yeah, and it's like, it ultimately translates to this madness. This morning when I was going through the Changing Fates shit and I discovered this code, I damn near burst out laughing. I'm like, I can't believe he actually... it amused me to no end.
So getting back on track. MC and the...
My medication's running out. It's getting late.
MC and the drug dealer converse, and eventually the drug dealer offers MC heroin.
Sayori becomes conscious at this point, is like, MC, no, I've been down this road. I don't want to. She's in and out.
She blacks out again. So MC's like, okay.
He has to make a decision.
So he buys like a few days worth of heroin, nearly bleeds him dry of all of his money. Well, all of MC and Sayori's money.
Yeah, and that's the big catch, is the guy's like, well, it's going to be this much. And I spoke to one of my old addict friends and got a price quote for how little a lot of money could buy. And now granted, down here, the shit's dirt cheap. Somewhere up in the Northeast or like East Coast, it's a little higher. But down here in Texas...
So prices might vary.
Yeah. But the bottom line is, he's like, look, man, I gotta make a living. I gotta make money. And amidst Sayori's in and out objections, finally MC's like, look, I gotta do something because she's gonna die. So he buys it. And the dealer's like, okay, I need you to listen to me very, very carefully, because if you fuck this up, or if she fucks this up, she won't make it. Like, bad things will happen. So he explains the process, literally. Thank you, Fruitigressire, right?
Fruitigressire went in far more detail about
detail
about how to use heroin.
So we were going to use that as a reference point once we got there, which of course we didn't, but anyway. So he goes into detail and explains this to MC, and MC's like, great. So eventually he gets Sayori to a hotel and he gives it to her.
Sayori wakes up some hours later. Like they get to the hotel at midnight. Sayori wakes up around 6 a.m.
Yeah. Like, she's out for a few hours and she wakes up and realizes she's not in pain.
And Sayori's like, you drugged me, didn't you?
You fucking did it. Did we have any money left after that?
And MC's like, look, I did what I had to do. I didn't have a choice.
Oh, God. Fuck y'all are the team. I did a good thing. So eventually it's she has to accept this, right? Finally, their destination ends, and I'm trying to end this quickly because, dear God, it's almost 10. Their destination ends, and they reach the beach.
They have, like, the closest thing you'll get to a beach episode for my writing.
Which is, they pull up to the beach, they're like, wow, look, it's a beach. Let's go to the hotel room, because Sayori's...
They don't go to a hotel room. They stay at a shack that's been...
Then why does this CG exist?
What CG?
Hang on, I gotta find it. Because I'm gonna pull it up. This one.
That's in the shack.
Oh, okay, so it was a shack. Tomato, tomato.
Horse cow.
Horse cow. Horse cow. It's different.
So anyway, they, like, have their de facto beach episode. MC Sayori settle down in a shack. Sayori's like...
It's wrong one first.
MC and Sayori's like, I'm gonna go get a shower real quick, be right back. Sayori decides to get her dose of heroin out of the way, but since Sayori's kind of a ditz, she
blows it.
She overdoses.
So, this CG... We'll get there. This CG... Tabri. This is our second gently opening the door, and this is the one that matters. MC is standing out of the bathroom, knocking on the bathroom door. Hey, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you coming? And eventually he opens the door to find this. Rip. I'm with SJ. Mission... How did he phrase it? I gotta find it now. Where did you say it, SJ? It's like way back here.
Like Breaking Bad or something?
No, it was mission... trying not to kill Sayori challenge impossible. Yeah. She doesn't make it. And this is what he walks in to find.
So,
SJ.
So, MC, like, nudges at her, is like, hey, Sayori, wake up.
And he sees her left arm, with the tourniquet wrapped around it, and the needle inside. Explaining how we wanted this CG to look to Batabri took some rewrites. It took us a little bit. Me killing Sayori, Mission Impossible. We love you, Kara.
So, seeing as Sayori's dead, MC decides to pick up her corpse and lead her to the beach.
And this... Thank you. By far, my favorite completed CG. My favorite CG would have been the bathroom. But since we don't have that, this is my favorite of what we've got. When I saw this the first time, it rocked me. Batabri is a god among CG creators. Like, the dude's amazing, and thank you, Batabri, for joining us on Sayori as an adult. Look forward to that.
As a side note, while looking for artists, well, the conversation of CG artists came up. I specifically told Illy that I didn't want to go to Cirque or Black Rabbit.
The classics.
Like, the really, really good artists.
We did tentatively talk about Booty Crusader, but unfortunately, due to politics and reasons, she no longer was an option.
So, I also mentioned to Illy that I wanted a lesser-known artist to do the CGs. One, because I wanted a different art style, and two, because I wanted to give them some...
Cool.
I guess, exposure, credit, something like that.
Do you have, at least quickly accessible, do you have wax wings? Can you come up with it fairly quickly? Maybe.
No. You could probably Google it.
Let's try. If she were not dead, this would be such a... Whoops. Sorry. If she were not dead, this would be such a wholesome CG. You're not wrong, Kara. You're not wrong. Let's see if we can solve this.
Yeah. Just go on Google and look at DDLC Wax Wing.
This is how we met Batebri.
Well, how I met Batebri.
Thank you. Here. I'll let you do it.
No.
Please don't do that. For God's sake, no. There it is. This is the first bit of art we ever saw by Batebri. Sinner's the one who found it, and my God.
And it happens to be a piece of fan art for the original.
The third death?
Second death.
No, third if you include the bend around sequence.
No. It happens before Bend Round. This is at the end of Act 3.
Okay. I'll trust you on that. You're the creator. Wait, what's going on here? So, the second death that Sayori goes through, of course, remember, Groundhog Day, he has to see her die multiple times, and each death gets progressively worse. Okay, yeah. If you don't know the situation, Sayori jumps off the top of the school. She falls and hits the ground, splat. What's happening to her arm there is it is broken, and her head, what you're looking at is her back.
Her head is at a horribly wrong angle.
Very wrong. And next to her is MC because he fell behind her.
So, yeah, that's how we met Batebri.
We were blown away by his skill. Yes, SJ? There you go.
So, MC carries Sayori to the beach and gently puts her body in the water and lets the sea take her.
Viking burial without the boat.
I was going to say Eris burial.
Or that. You remember, I forgot. I love you, son. I'm glad you're still here. It's a little late, though. But I'm glad you're still here. We'll be wrapping up soon.
It's a weekend.
You know what? You're right.
So, and then afterwards...
Actually, Jill fell first in this case.
So, afterwards, MC lets the sea take Sayori's body. MC sits in his car. It's like, well, fuck. What am I going to do now? Because he has very little money left, and he is basically stuck.
He's fucked. In this little bitty town with an ice cream shop. Have you seen the ice cream shop?
You got to do the Navi voice.
Oh, by the way, for you, Kara, I'll do it again, but I did it earlier, and hopefully somebody clipped it, but if they didn't, I'll do it later. Da-da-da!
Oh, green.
You're welcome. Hey, listen, yeah.
Hey, listen.
Dude, that was my notification sound on my phone for like years. And it drove people nuts. Gamers that heard it were like, dude, can you not?
So anyway, that is the end of Sayori's story.
So now we can move to MC. So obviously there's a lot of overlap. I do gotta say though, if the church scene made people lose their shit, if this mod saw the light of day, and this is something that we said a lot, like we told so many people, we're like, look, if you were fucked up by the OG, you don't want to play this. It will ruin you. Natsu Kittens and Sayorians, we knew were going to hate us to the same level that Monokins hated the OG. Like, I anticipated people possibly going through what one of the people who experienced the OG went through, and Sinner had to save his life. DDLC peeps like dark, but in small doses. This is like a tidal wave, and it was like this the whole way through.
Yeah. Now we move to MC's story.
Childbirth, son.
Yeah, childbirth.
So MC goes through, we were talking about maybe having a feature of him and Yuri as kids to introduce the childhood friend concept, but bypassing that because Jesus Christ, it's almost 10. So we get through the festival, MC bails.
Okay. MC's story starts a few days before he drives off with Sayori. He's like, hate this town, want to go, why am I here?
That monologue.
Talks about how much he hates his dad.
Yeah, let's talk about his dad.
Yeah. In this story, MC is a delinquent. Doesn't really give a shit about much of anything.
But he learned it.
Yeah. So, for those of you who were there during the submission, you might notice a small snippet where MC is like, my mother died at a young age before I could remember her, and the man that called himself my father died with her, just numbing himself with alcohol.
In my case, my dad... Never mind. Jason's here. Disregard.
And so...
Yeah, it is, honey. We are wrapping up, baby. So if you need to go to bed, I love you. Go to bed.
Yeah.
Hope you told your dad happy birthday. If not, do it.
Yeah.
Because of all things, this is his dad's birthday.
What a coinkydonk.
It is.
And so, MC, stays up.
Please don't hit me with something. One might almost say it's fate.
Yeah. So, MC stays up late, wakes up late, goes to school late, doesn't really give much of a shit about his grades. MC decides to run away with Sayori. All the events of Sayori's route happen. MC lets the C take Sayori, and MC's sitting in his car like, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm stuck here with very little money. So, Act 2 of MC's story starts.
We troll on Pat. Again.
MC is in this small town called Seishin Takina. It's a small town with a population of 1,000 people. It's in the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
And there's an ice cream shop.
And so, the first day, MC spends his day just going around town looking for a job.
Desperately.
And he gets turned down.
Every single time. You gonna raise your hand on this one?
And then MC goes around. Yeah, I'll raise my hand on this one. And so MC goes to, as one last ditch effort, MC goes to the docks and he talks to a man named Arata. That will sound familiar if you played Watashi Fuzumi. Suffice to say, MC gets the job. MC gets a job, years pass. Arata's like, hey man, you want an easy day today?
Good. I'm so glad.
And so...
The pure anomaly in this already anomalous town is an ice cream shop. Have you seen the ice cream shop? That man.
So, MC goes around town. MC is a delivery driver for the day.
From the docks, presumably from the docks, he was getting shipments, and among his stops, one of the shipments went to a restaurant.
Aptly named Natsuki's. I only decided to name the restaurant Natsuki's because in small towns...
The Waffle House has found its new home.
Yeah. I only named it Natsuki's because in a lot of small towns like we were, sometimes the restaurant owner will literally name the restaurant after themselves.
There was literally 3 of them within a block. It was ridiculous. There was Jerry's, Johnny's. We're not there anymore. What does it matter?
Yeah.
Sinner is so scared.
So MC delivers some packages to Natsuki.
Natsuki's where it happens.
Yeah. But MC looked inside the interior and it's like...
There was. No. We had a construction guy for our house that was a complete fuck off. Oh good, now I can triangulate your position and stalk you. You could do that anyway.
So anyway, MC takes a look inside of Natsuki's restaurant and realizes that she has a lot of work to do, and by the looks of things, she doesn't have a construction crew going. So MC, being the neighborly kind of person he is...
Hero complex.
Decides, hey, I think I know a thing or two about construction. How about I help you?
Let me help her out, right? And then that, the realization of, oh, right, we were in high school together. Man, that sucked, So the route happens. They go through everything they go through.
They build a relationship. They eventually, start going out together. They get married. eventually they
Jason.
eventually, MC and Nat have a baby. Natsuki dies in childbirth.
We're almost done, guys. We're at the end. And this ultimately is the convergence of all the paths and the ending of the story.
So,
You'll know where you are because of your bed. God, sorry.
So, following Natsuki's death, MC falls into a depression.
He self-destructs hardcore.
Like, he
becomes a drunk.
Gets into alcohol and smoking and takes Xanax. Eventually, he loses his job. One night, MC decides to go for one last egg and beer.
No, her voice.
MC goes for one last egg and beer, vomits violently, and looks himself in the mirror.
And he sees his dad.
And MC realizes how he's become like his dad. So what he does
okay, Kara.
He decides to get in the car, drive off, and just take his hand off the wheel and let fate do the rest. MC gets in a car crash, comes flying out the windshield, hits a tree, blacks out.
I got you.
What MC doesn't realize is he wakes up in a hospital. Right next to him is Yuri.
And he wakes up in Thailand.
Yuri just so happened to be driving towards Seishinta Kingdom, hoping to see Natsuki.
Yeah, hoping to get caught up with Natsuki.
So,
because they're friends in Armand.
Yeah. So, MC's like, what the hell happened? Like, and Yuri's like, well, I just happened to be driving by.
And of course, at this point, Yuri is full-blown stoic, where she was in the OG.
So, Yuri offers MC to stay at her place because MC doesn't really have anywhere else to stay. Yuri also helps MC go through therapy, rehabilitation, find a new job.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And then one day, Yuri explains to MC that she's leaving for America.
She got a job there that's a lot better, and that will help her resolve a lot of the financial issues that she had been dealing with from day one. They become lovers, and yours, one of the planned routes since not making everyone gay, Mission Impossible.
So, eventually, rehabilitated MC returns to his hometown. He had two things he wanted to do. He had Natsuki's ashes in an urn. He wanted to return Natsuki's ashes to the garden of her theater. MC also had Sayori's journal filled with her poems, and he wanted to return the journal to Sayori's parents. When everything was said and done, MC decided to sit in a church and, I guess, contemplate his life.
Think about his life.
And
who should he find?
Monica.
And it's the redo. It's the better version of the Monica MC church, where yes, there's the same conversation of do you accept your fate or whatever, but it's more of a human conversation instead of red-eyed demon Monica.
And so, for context, Monica had lost her job. She was devastated and decides to indulge in a bottle of whiskey. She wakes up with a hangover. Like a really bad hangover.
And it's like, what am I doing? I'm going to go to church.
Of course, MC's sitting at church, sees Monica in the state she is, and MC's like, you've been drinking, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Not anymore. And they have the really great conversation, and it's really cool. Did you know the world's best geoguesser can guess a place because of the dirt? I did know that, actually. It's pretty mind-blowing. Not to interrupt, but I've been writing since the Sinner Fatecon submission wrote a...
God.
I guess we're going to have to do another one, guys.
Next year.
Or maybe later this year, or multiple times over the course of the year. We'll figure it out. But SJ, big excite. Glad we could inspire you.
Yeah. So, MC and Monica have their conversation. And
come to Jesus moment, proverbially speaking.
And they eventually part ways, both of them leaving a profound impact on one another.
Mm-hmm. And that's it.
And that was the entirety of Changing Fates.
I will admit, while, yeah, nerves rocked me before stream today, I will definitely say that I've cried twice today. Of course, once during the stream, but once before. And it was because I was just sitting here and I was getting everything ready. I was lining up the plans and getting everything set, going through what was left of Changing Fates' files and realizing how much is gone, what we've lost. God, I wish it wasn't. I was just getting to that. Thank you, Greg. It devastated me. I fell apart reliving the 24 to 48 hours that ended this.
Like, I will admit, I had to get buzzed just to
get through it.
just to get through this death commentary.
Because it was unfortunate. It was very unfortunate. But here we are.
I was going to say, for those that don't know what happened.
Are you actually going to share that? Are you sure?
I'm okay sharing it.
Okay.
But suffice to say, the events that led up to the eventual cancellation of the mod. For those that might remember, I made a Christmas update for the mod.
Mm-hmm.
In describing things that were going to happen in the new year.
Yes, Jason. Yes. Let me share that link. Thank you, Jason. Yes. I got you, baby. And this might be important for other folks that didn't know it existed.
Are you talking about
Yep.
Savage Central's video?
Sure am.
Didn't it get taken down?
He put up a new one. He fixed it. Wow, it's at the top of his page. That's awesome. Here y'all go.
Anyway, I had made a Christmas update post on the subreddit, and Illy had commented on it.
I did.
And who should come in and say, no, I don't want you in this community, but Brazen. Brazen comes in and bans Illy, saying, you should know our policy concerning you. To which both of us started...
We're talking about the DDLC mods subreddit, honey.
Yeah. So we both protest. We talked to Tormuse and Weiss. We're like, what the hell? Like, you guys, like, if I may, Tormuse said that she was welcome to come in, albeit at her own risk.
Yeah, and I wasn't able to post mods. I couldn't post any mods, but if I wanted to be there, I'd be there accepting the risks associated with it.
But they said, well, and I double-checked with another moderator, and they said, yeah, you're welcome, but you're not allowed to post mods, but association is fine.
Thanks for trying, Luma.
But, so we went with that in mind. Illy makes her comment, Bray bans her. Because
Did he just go live? Okay, we're wrapping. This last bit is just literally nothing but politics and drama.
It's just for context to why everything happened the way it did.
Because I know people want answers.
So, we protested, and eventually I get a message from Weiss saying that Bray wants to talk to you. And what should happen but a one-sided 2-hour debate, where I try to explain what actually happened during the Reddit incident, and Bray is not listening to any of it. All he has to say is, well, Illy is a groomer because I said so.
He literally used those exact words. And Sinner asked, "Do you know what under what evidence?" I don't need evidence. I've made my decision.
No, what he said was, I'm not obligated to share any evidence. This isn't a court.
Right. It's kangaroo court.
I try to explain the context of what, and I try to ask, like, do you think any coercion happened? He's like, nope, she's a groomer because I said so.
And Sinner, for obvious reasons, became very upset.
It's too late to get angry, Jason. I would just say let it go.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we're at. Savage tried. God bless him, he tried. But from the external perspective, I saw a side of Sinner that I had never seen before and have not seen since. And while I meme at him that he's a rehabilitated yandere, the level of just blind rage he went through that night puts all other male yanderes to shame. He was livid. We have 2 knife marks in our desk from that night because he became angry, because he got irrational. The conversation rabbit holed fast. And not only, by the end of the conversation, not only was I banned, but so was Sinner.
No, I wasn't. I later fact checked with Bun, and Bun's like, no disciplinary action was taken against you.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's another instance of mod subreddit not knowing what each other's up to. But the bottom line is Sinner was so devastated and so livid. At that moment, he scrapped everything.
Like, the best way I could put it is, do any of you know the scene in God of War Ragnarok where after Brock dies, Kratos is just like, we're done here?
Yeah, that was him. Like, it... Working our way up to the stream today was difficult for both of us in different ways. I'm glad that we did this. Just put everything out. Hopefully, maybe we can inspire somebody else to do something similar. If you do, I want in. I know Sinner doesn't, but I do. So that's where we are. On that note, thank you all so much for joining. By far my longest stream. It's almost 6.5 hours. I was very nervous working up to this, but I am so glad that this stream met and exceeded my hopes. And it was a blast. I hope you guys enjoyed. Those of you checking out the VOD after the fact, thank you. Thank you guys so much. But as always, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and ring those bells. That's all we have for today. Thanks for listening.